Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Matrimony.com Q4 FY21 earnings conference call hosted by Antique Stock Broking Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, we welcome today the management of Matrimony, Mr. Murugavel, Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Sushant Pai, Chief Financial Officer. Without wasting much time, I hand over the call to Mr. Murugavel for his opening remarks, and then we will move to Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Prateek Kumar. Good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy. When we started last year, we are going through an unprecedented crisis. Even now, as we speak, the crisis is far from over. Many of our employees and families have been affected, and we continue to support them in the best way possible. While our business was impacted in quarter one of last year, however, our leadership team and all our people executed very well. We continue to enhance value to our members through continuous product innovation and execution. We are also able to minimize our impact and return to double-digit billing growth from Q2 onwards. I'm happy to inform you that we have sustained this momentum for the last 3 quarters in a row. Our revenue growth combined with operational efficiency helped to improve profitability by 38% in FY21. In spite of the challenging environment what we face today, we expect profit to grow at a faster pace like in FY21 for the current year as well. We continue to use the learnings what we had in the current dynamic environment and hope we are able to sustain the growth momentum. Now let me come to the results. In quarter 4, on a consolidated basis, we achieved rupees 106.7 crores in billing, which is a 10.8% year-on-year growth. For the full year, we achieved rupees 385 crore, which is a growth of 4.4%. Key highlights for the matchmaking business are as follows. In quarter 4, billing was at rupees 106 crore, a growth of 6.3% quarter-over-quarter and 12% year-on-year. Revenue at rupees 100.7 crore, a growth of 4.6% quarter-over-quarter and 8.6% year-on-year. This is the first time we crossed rupees 100 crore in both in billing as well as in revenue in the matchmaking business. For the full year, we have achieved rupees 383.2 crore, a growth of 7.4%, revenue at rupees 375.7 crore, a growth of 4.2%. While we understand the quarter one last year, the revenue was impacted. In spite of that, we were able to bounce back and move to a good double-digit growth. We added 2.3 lakhs paid subscription during the quarter, which is a growth of 23.9% year-on-year. And 8.4 lakhs paid subscriptions were added during the year, which is a growth of 18.9%. We continue to see good growth in volume and billing growth in the key competitive market, both north and western regions. ATV for the matchmaking business increased 6.4% quarter-over-quarter, but declined by 9.6% year-on-year. For the full year, ATV declined 9.7%, which is in line with the strategy to drive more paid transactions. We continue to track the impact it creates for our customers. We are happy to state that we have created about 33,000 success stories in quarter 4, taking the total of about 100,000 success stories in FY21. Other highlights for the quarter are as follows. We launched Bhojpuri-Matrimony.com, an exclusive matrimony site for the Bhojpuri community. We launched IIMIIT-Matrimony.com, a niche matrimony service for the graduates from Premier Institute. We also created a new brand identity, WeddingBazaar.com, one of India's largest wedding service marketplace from the earlier avatar of MatrimonyBazaar.com. Because the matrimony has a strong association in matchmaking business, so we thought Wedding Bazaar augurs well for this category. Now coming to marriage services business, revenue was rupees 0.5 crore. It's a flat revenue as compared to the previous quarter. Loss in the quarter was at rupees 1.9 crore, similar to the previous quarter. Through operational efficiency, we have brought down the losses in FY21 to 9.6 crore as compared to rupees 17 crore loss in FY20. On the billing and revenue outlook for Q1, while the uncertainty continue to exist, and we need to see how it's going to pan out, we expect the billing and revenue to show a good double-digit growth on a year-on-year basis. However, on a quarter-over-quarter basis, we expect to show a slight decline due to the current situation. Wedding service will be at the similar levels of Q4. The Board of Directors at its meeting held on May 11th, 2021, have recommended a final dividend of 70%, which is rupees 3.5 per equity share of par value of rupees 5 each, subject to the approval of the shareholders. Before I conclude, I'd like to thank all our customers, employees, investors, partners for the continuous support. Our resilient business model will continue to drive growth that it's purpose-led. Let me now pass on to Sushant to comment on the key profit highlights. Sushant, over to you.
Thanks, Muruga. Just want to be sure I'm audible clearly.
Yes, Sushant, you are. To me.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Muruga. Our EBITDA margin for the matchmaking business in Q4 is at 23.4% as compared to 23.6% in Q3 and 21.9% a year ago. For the full year, EBITDA margins for the matchmaking business was at 23.9% as compared to 23.4% in FY20. Marketing expenses are at 38.8 crores as compared to 37.6 crores in Q3. Marketing expenses for the full year was at 137 crores as compared to 102 crores in FY20. So if you exclude marketing expenses, our margins in matchmaking are at 60% in FY21 as compared to 53% in FY20 due to increased revenue and operational efficiencies. On a consolidated basis, our EBITDA margins in Q4 are at 17.7% compared to 19.1% in Q3 and 14.4% a year ago. For the full year, our EBITDA is at 71 crores, which is at 18.6% on revenue, as compared to rupees 56 crores, which was a 15% on revenue in FY20, indicating a growth of 26%. Tax rate is at 25.2% for the quarter and 23.8% for the full year. PAT, excluding the Astro business, stood at 10.1 crore for the quarter, a decrease of 8.8% quarter-on-quarter and increase of 47.9% year-on-year. Share of profit from Astro is 0.4 lakhs for the quarter. PAT for the full year, excluding Astro, is at 41.3 crores, which is a 10.9% on total income, as compared to rupees 29.6 crores, which is a 7.9% on total income in FY20, which is a good growth of 40%. So our free cash generation for the year has been very robust at rupees 60 crores, and our cash balance is at rupees 285 crores currently. On the outlook for Q1 margins, based on what Muruga had mentioned on the billing and revenue outlook, we expect EBITDA margin and PAT to increase in Q1. I would like to end with a customary safe harbor statement. Certain statements during this call could be forward-looking statements on our business. These involve a number of risks and uncertainties that could cause the actual results to differ materially from such forward-looking statements. We do not undertake to update any such forward-looking statements that may be made from time to time by or on behalf of the company unless it is required by law. Over to Pratik for Q&A.
Yeah, we can move to Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to two per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The first question is from the line of Vivekanand Subramaniam from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have two questions. One is on the billing growth and translation into revenue growth. So we have seen that in the last 3 quarters, billing has consistently grown at double-digit percentage year on year. But this quarter we saw the revenue growth being slightly less, around 8%. If you could help us understand the factors responsible for the divergence between billing growth and revenue growth, maybe long duration packages or maybe some other factor, that would be great. Second question is on the EBITDA in the matchmaking business excluding marketing. So that number has increased meaningfully year on year, but we have seen that top out at around 62%. I mean, it was steadily growing till last quarter, but we saw that it did not increase in the current quarter. It seems that some of your costs, like employee costs, have started moving up again, employee costs and other expenses. If you could help us understand that bit more in detail, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivekananda. On the billing to GAAP revenue, look at the billing was 106 crore, and in terms of revenue, it was 100 crore. What are the reason? Was any change in the duration or packages? By and large, not much change. It has been the same pattern. It has to do with because the revenue started picking up on Q4 and February and in the month of and also in the March actually. So January also was good, and February was one of the best months for us. So that obviously did not translate into a GAAP revenue in the same quarter. So primarily it has to do with the the billing happened in the month of February and to March. Well, the January also was reasonably good. So January we have a lot of holidays and other things actually. So normally for us the revenue picks up in the month of February. So that was the reason on the difference between the GAAP revenue as well as on the billing. Almost you see the close to 5.5 crore difference between the billing and the GAAP revenue. So it has nothing to do with any change in the underlying mix of packages or other things. In terms of the second question, that the EBITDA at 60%, if you add the 5 crore of 105 crore of GAAP revenue, the EBITDA gross margin would have been much better. So we do expect definitely the gross margin continue to improve from 60% moving further, because the revenue progresses while the employee cost is going to come from Q1 onwards, but other costs going to be fairly kind of on the flat level. So we don't see that a reason for EBITDA margin to stay at 60. In fact, this business has definitely operating leverage. As the revenue grows, we definitely see that EBITDA margin excluding marketing is moving, gross margin moving beyond, going above 60%.
Yeah. Vivek, just like to add, this is Sushant, is that on the billing to GAAP, one more factor is like Mudra said, which month of the quarter you get a higher billing. So therefore, then it translates accordingly into the subsequent quarter. So there's always a timing gap. So if the first month of the quarter has a higher billing, then it translates into higher gap within the quarter, because majority of our billing is in the 3-month category. But it comes into the middle of the second month of the quarter, it translates into the next quarter. So there's a timing difference always depending on which month you get a higher billing. But if you also see, the good thing is the deferred revenue has also moved up from about 69 crores. It has become about 75 crores, slightly higher than what we usually get. So in a way, which means it will come into the subsequent quarters. So that is one point. The second thing on the EBITDA, in this quarter, it's slightly reduced because also in March, because of the situation, maybe we fell slightly short in terms of our own billing, in terms of the situation. The second reason is that, some expenses like the CSR came in one quarter itself. That is one. And the second reason is that we also established certain small offices, in India, and that added to our infrastructure cost as well. So therefore, there was a slight decline, from quarter 3 to quarter 4, from about 63 to 62. But I think it will be in a range-bound thing as we go along.
Thanks, Sushant. Appreciate. Yeah, even the quarter 4 it was 62. It will only move up. Vivekananda, as we progress.
Right. That's great. One small follow-up. Would it be possible to quantify the CSR expenses which were a bit lumpy during the current quarter?
Yeah, it's about 0.5 crores, 50 lakhs.
Okay. Thank you. I have more, but I'll follow up.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Chirag Patel from Adinath Shares. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes,
Am I audible?
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Sir, I have a few broad questions. Like in earlier calls, you mentioned that we are planning to increase our market share where our competitors having good presence. So what are the key developments in terms of gaining some sort of traction in those areas where we currently have minuscule or even a very limited presence in South market? If you can share some light, like in last 2-3 years. I know like last 1 year was very pathetic, but still, if any sort of improvement we witnessed in terms of traction, if you can share on that.
In the northern market, or sorry, I just kind of lost thing of market.
Our market share in areas where our competitors having strong foot.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay. Yeah, thanks. See, other than the northern market, we are a leader across India. Be it, I believe we have very strong leadership in South, and also we have good leadership in East. Also, we have a strong leader in the West as well. Except North India, we are one of the leaders. Okay, so that's a market where it's a long-term strategy, and we continue to take steps to improve our markets in the northern market. We recently launched, few offerings. We launched, apart from, we continue to look at ways to increase our the conversion in the market. We're looking on pricing strategy plus other things as well. But again, some of the things, steps we have taken is that we also launched 2 new offerings. We launched actually 3 actually. We launched RajasthaniMatrimony.com. We launched BihariMatrimony.com. In the current quarter, we launched BhojpuriMatrimony.com. So we are looking at market-specific approach is one of the strategies. So basically, we are looking at combination of product pricing and some offerings. So we continue to make progress. But again, North is a highly competitive market, which it's not something like we'll be able to make strong inroads in a very short span of time. It's a long-term strategy. But the good thing that North is the only market where we are not a strong leader, but all the other markets where our leadership is strong and they continue to improve.
Okay. So my second question is on other than matchmaking segment which we have, it's a very minimal contribution to our total turnover. But what are the plans going forward for that segment of marriage services?
Yeah. So we have today 2 offerings. One is Mandap.com and the other one is the WeddingBazaar.com. In the recent quarter, we changed the name from MoneyBazaar to WeddingBazaar.com, as I say. So both are marketplace model, and compared to the earlier business model, we had a full service model. We believe that the marketplace model in the long run can be highly lucrative. It's all subscription-based business model. So subscription business model, we need to have that listings. We also need to have that the traffic, and also need to deliver value to our the partners. So continue to progress on these areas, and both the business has a good number of listings. We continue to make a product improvements. We continue to see that people subscribe to this package. Compared to the way you are selling earlier, we moved to very standardized offerings. So that way, it's all 1-year packages, 3 months, 6 months packages. So as the marketplace model, the listings improve, the value improves, and we see that the renewal get better and more number of people sign up. We believe we are going in the right direction, and because if not for COVID, probably would have done better. And we hope that this year the wedding service will probably gain some traction. And we also looking at what are the other things we can do to make both the offerings strong offerings in this space.
So, like any internal turnover target you set for this segment?
No, the opportunity is there. No, we have to see whether when can we reach 100 crore business on wedding services. Can be in 3 years, can be in 5 years. So that we definitely have internal goals to make it as a meaningful revenue contribution for our overall business.
Okay. And so my third and final question, due to pandemic and lockdown and the distance protocol and all, the psychological shift has been witnessed in across all the category of services from consumer side. So in marriage related also a lot of digital weddings happening in our in many states and many area and locality. So will this psychological shift, because ultimately we in post-COVID world so many changes we will going to see in many services. Do you think that the marriage service segment will be affected negatively because of the psychological shift which has happened due to pandemic?
Yeah, this definitely today when the government announced that only so many people can attend the weddings and the complete lockdown. So obviously this the entire spending on this category comes down. However, we think that it's going to be a temporary, probably in a couple of months, because India has already vaccinated 15% of population. Our estimate is probably by next 4 months or so. By October, probably 30-40% of the population possibly can get vaccinated. And after that, probably that gradually things come back to the sort of reasonable levels. So while then short term, probably next 3 or 4 months, there can be some impact. And probably also expect a lockdown, whether will continue beyond May, which we doubt. So probably there will be restriction number of people can attend the wedding, but I think gradually things will get better. So it'll be, if at all, we expect any current situation on thing, it'll be next 4 months or so. That's our estimate. You may be wrong also. We have to wait and see. But unlike in the past, where we didn't have the clue on when the vaccination is going to come, how long it is going to last. At least now we have the vaccine in place. It's a question of how soon we can get a good number of Indian population getting vaccinated. 60% is what we can reach herd immunity, but I don't know when it will, probably end of the year or so. But matchmaking, the impact is largely because of lockdown, because retail outlets were shut down, plus some of the employees are impacted, some of the customers are impacted. But still we are doing fairly well. So.
Okay, sir. Thank you, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Hardik Sangani from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Hey, Sushant and Muruga, hope you are keeping safe and doing well. So, just regarding those 2 questions. So the first one is, in last year Q1, anyways, it was a weak quarter due to the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. So double digit, but on a QOQ basis, shouldn't we have a mid-single digit growth or something like that? So this year at least, it can be better than what we had done. Or is it due to this, again, the second wave, have we tempered down, or on a conservative side, we are guiding towards the billing growth? Secondly, in terms of marketing spend, so do we see this year also, should we continue with the exit rate of Q4 what we had in this year, or it will increase or decline meaningfully, because there will be no particular events? And related to advertising spend, have we been doing in change in our ad spend mix, in, for example, offering differential discount to clients more, or it is more digital marketing or general marketing expenses which you have been doing earlier? I have more questions that will come in the
call. Okay. Thanks, Hardik, and we are doing fine. Hope you and your family are doing well. In terms of growth for quarter 1, the guideline was quarter over quarter, maybe 3% less in billing compared to Q4. So then if you look at a year on year, obviously it should be probably in the problem 20% or so, because obviously Q1 it was we are impacted. So that way the growth is not only like 10-12%, will be definitely much higher growth because of the impact we had in Q1. So that's on the growth side for the matchmaking. In terms of marketing, we believe that probably be around a similar level as possibly in the Q4. And in terms of spend, most of our spend is on the again, it's not about discounting being accounted as marketing. For us, the marketing is the actual marketing spend. We include both TV and digital. So most of the spend is on TV, and by and large, it remains in the similar level. So we don't see any change in the mix. If at all, there is a minor change in the mix of advertisement. So either similar level or maybe slightly less, depends on how the whole situation evolves now.
Just like to add, Hardik, is that last year, the situation was, I think, slightly different from what we are seeing now. I think the whole concept of the virus, the lockdown, everything was new. I think people were grappling with various things because the whole situation was new. And because of that, the businesses took some time to build that BCP and all of those things. And there, the people were not so impacted because the cases were just coming in and people were learning about the virus. So it's a very different situation. I think the business impact there was more to do with the businesses coming to track and dealing with the situation. But over the year, we have learnings, right? We've established new monitoring mechanisms to deal with all of this. So therefore, some of these learnings are helping us in this second wave. But the second wave is slightly different. So I think we have sort of learned to live with the lockdowns a bit in terms of the BCP measures and all of that. But here, I think more people are getting impacted. So that's the difference. So because not only customers, I think even our own people. So that is creating a little bit of a different situation. But the business model is resilient and therefore taking care of some of the learnings that we've had in terms of how to minimize the impact. So I think that's the way to see it, and that's why we are factoring a slight decline, from the Q4 levels as we go into Q1.
Thanks, Sushant. Appreciate that. Yeah, Sushant said, when our employees are getting impacted, so obviously we lose our productivity, and because it takes time. It's not 1 or 2 days. When 2 weeks of productivity gets impacted, sometimes little longer also. It's not 1 or 2 people. Assisted more than 100 of our employees are infected with COVID. So these are the issues, and the lockdown, retail outlets are closed. So it's more as to the challenge is what he faced, what causing that bit of slowdown. Otherwise, would have been better actually. So.
Sure. That helps. I'll come back in the follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hitesh Sharma from White Sky. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, Hitesh. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, what is your market share compared to Shaadi.com?
Our estimate is that while our the pan-India level 60%, and we think that the Shaadi may be around the 30% level. Again, it's our estimate. We don't have the revenue data and all that. So that's our estimate.
And any other activity you are planning to start, because you have a platform for e-matchmaking, so any other matchmaking services you are looking for?
So we continue to explore opportunity in the matchmaking space. We have recently launched, apart from we recently launched this IMIAT, we also launched Doctors Matrimony, plus the launch of this Rajasthani Bhojpuri. We continue to explore the opportunity in the matchmaking space, and both in India and even outside India, which is where we think we can able to make a difference. Yeah, we continue to explore those opportunities.
We will be sticking to the matchmaking only. That's
Yeah. We are definitely sticking to matchmaking business and wedding services.
The basic question was because you are having already a platform, so you can use the same platform for many other similar.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry if I understood. Sorry, my apologies. While we done it in the past, in 2008 we had all various verticals. We launched jobs, property, automobile, various verticals. Obviously, that point we didn't have the capital and other things, leadership, bandwidth, and other things. So, but we see enough and more opportunity to do in the matchmaking business itself. So, will we get into other verticals? No. There are other established players out there. I think rather we focus on our strength, focus on where we can able to make a difference. So we're going to remain committed to the matchmaking and wedding services. We start looking at using this platform for other verticals.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayur Gatani from OHM Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to check on the services business. What are we actually doing there? I mean, and why are we losing money? I mean, I thought it is an asset-light model, and can you explain a little more on the subscription side as well, please?
See, definitely in terms of the model asset-light model, because with losses of we are talking about 2 crore, we are talking mainly on the people cost. We are talking about the product team, technology team, and operation team, and also the sales team in place. So it's mainly on the people side actually. So the most of our costs almost, you see that almost like 70-80% is on the people cost. So once the revenue picks up, because the subscription business model, initial days obviously we are offering at a less price because you have to get vendors to come on the platform, deliver value, so that as we progress, we could be able to increase that subscription amount. So that's the reason. The cost mainly on the people side. As the revenue progresses, then the people cost in percent revenue will come down. Once it reaches a certain critical threshold, then obviously we'll start making profit. So we are investing at this point of time because some of the resources are expensive. We're talking about product and technology and also plus your leadership team and also. So yeah, at this point of time, it has to do with the people cost. And the revenue is not still at the expected level because of last year definitely severely impacted by COVID. I hope that this year will gain traction on the
So assuming, so on the subscription side, what are we doing here? I mean, vendors, let's say some hotels who have banquet halls or people who own banquet halls are subscribing to you saying that, okay, whenever there is a marriage.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks, Mayur. I understood your question. The people who are subscribed to our service are the vendors who are mainly in the wedding services. We're talking about caterers, decorators, banquet halls, makeup artists, photographers, and all the people in the wedding services business. So they are the one paying for money. For the end consumers, we don't charge any money, and we help them to connect with the right service provider. So we don't have a model of at this point of charging money for the end consumers. But as we progress, we can look at those models as well. But at this point of time, who is paying for our wedding services are the people in the wedding services business.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And all the best.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Kothari from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thanks for providing the opportunity. Sir, my question is, on your main business, how do you see the margins over next 2-3 years?
See, if you continue to, grow at this, double-digit growth, which we hope that we'll be able to continue to have this kind of growth. And if the marketing remains at the similar level or even it is slightly going up, I think the margin will continue to improve. So that's what I can say. But yeah.
So when you say that the marketing spend, if I'm just looking at your presentation, I think slide number 21, where you're given the marketing expense, which is increased from 56 crores to 137 crores. And whereas if you look at our revenue, 335 crores to 377 crores. Of course, there is a 9 crores loss from the the second business. But even if one adjust for it, and one cannot do pre-marketing expense because marketing expense is a priority for such business, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm saying that how one should look at it because your revenue growth is not in line with the the marketing spend growth. I don't right now have your FY18 your matchmaking performance revenue, but I don't think it would have grown 2.5 times.
See, the marketing spend definitely has kind of grown substantially in the last couple of years, and so because due to item the competitive activities. If not for the item competitive activity, the marketing spend wouldn't be at the current level. So the marketing spend definitely as the personal revenue has gone up. So I'm talking about the marketing, the competitive intensity remains at the current level. So still we're able to do the double-digit growth, which you think we're able to deliver the double-digit growth. And then still the profit margin or the EBITDA margin will improve. However, if the competitive intensity kind of reduces and all the things, if you're able to reduce the marketing spend, the EBITDA margin grow at a faster rate. But definitely, if we look at it 3 years ago, the marketing spend for the entire year was 50 crore. And the 50 crore gone up to now today around 123 crore because of the increased competitive activities because 3 years ago, this category, all three players put together, marketing spend was 100 crore. Now today, all three players put together, market spend has gone up to 400 crore. There's increased competitive activity, so we had stepped up our marketing to protect our market share and also to grow our business. So as a leader, we continue to grow, and again, we continue to expect that the EBITDA margin also will move up because other costs are going in line with our growth.
So when you say 3 years ago, the in total industry spend was 100 crores, that is you are talking about FY18?
FY18, yeah.
And what would be the industry revenue at that time?
Industry revenue would have been maybe 400 crore or so, I don't know. I thought it's maybe 500 crore.
500 crores. And right now, what would be the industry revenue in your opinion?
Probably maybe around maybe 700 crore. I'm talking top three players. So 700 or 750 crores. Yeah.
So the growth is all like 50% kind of growth.
Yeah.
And our growth would have been how much?
So we started growing double-digit growth last 3 quarters. Again, sorry, I don't know the exact 3 years. CAGR. Yeah. Yeah, it's a post.
Basically, my question is, this competition intensity, it will keep remain high, am I right? Unless and until one player goes out from the market, correct? So, how do you see that? Let's assume the competition intensity increases further, then what you do?
No, there is a limit at which we can keep spending money because there is a beyond a certain threshold. There is no point to continue to put the money. I think the current level of marketing spend, I believe that is good enough to to manage even increased competition. Even if they are they're already spending much more than what is required actually. Even if further step of marketing also, we believe the current level of marketing spend may be fairly okay. Again, we may change our views as you know, depending on situation, but that's my outlook at this point of time. So I think we have sufficient of marketing thing. And we can continue to make progress, continue to grow. So I'm not in a position to comment on what will be a competitive strategy, what they want to do. As far as we're concerned, we continue to make inroads, continue to progress, and continue to drive the growth. So at some point the probably things may change, and in terms of the competition may come down, but even otherwise also. So as long as we're able to grow the double-digit growth and able to drive the EBITDA margin, it's okay. Competitors being there and they continue to grow. Overall, probably add to the overall category as well. So what we are focusing on, what we can do in our control, continuous product innovation and execution, drive double-digit growth, drive the EBITDA margin, and it all pay off in the long run. Yeah.
Sure. My last question is in terms of the organization structure perspective. Have you recruited any senior people, strategic people, in the management team? Any changes in the team?
No, nothing. Yeah, we have a again. There's always addition every year, but we have a strong leadership team.
Okay, so no major changes.
No major changes.
Okay, fine. Thanks. Wish you all the best.
Just wanted to tell you that recent change has been that we have included CMO Arjun Bhatia. That's the recent addition to the leadership team.
Thanks, Sushant. The last year we added Arjun Bhatia has added as CMO. Yeah.
And what is his profile?
He was a marketing head for Samsung, and so he joined as CMO.
Okay, fine. No problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Poddar from Nippon India AIF. Please go ahead.
Hi. So just wanted to check if you can slice or dice this marketing spend of 137 crores. How much would be, let's say, pure play marketing, and how much would be, let's say, for transactions or anything like that?
Most of the spend, Manish, it's on the TV advertisements. So probably around 70% or something like that goes on TV advertisement. The balance goes on digital other forms of advertisement.
So none of this amount is, let's say, really done for any convergence per se. It is just for awareness per se.
Yeah, it's awareness because there are market, obviously, there's competitors advertising heavy, so we have to counter that. So it's mostly on the TV. So 70% or 70+% on TV. So if you have the digital, they appreciate what is the conversion now. That's also 30%. There also, because of the competitive activity, we have to spend more because people have been bidding for our keywords, and sort of that pushes the price. Otherwise, even there also spending would have been less.
Okay, and just one last one. So let's say I haven't checked the number for the last 3-4 years, but let's say you would be giving certain discounts, or let's say there will be a difference between the gross and the net in terms of revenues. So which will be used for convergence, let's say for discounts for consumers. How has that number trended over the last 3-4 years?
Look at this year that ARPU has come down because we have that the pricing strategies. Again, we don't have a standard price. While there is a rack rate, according to the market, according to the customer, different price being given to the customer. So while the last year, till last year, what ARPU has gone up, this year, we kind of the ARPU has come down on account of differentiated price for various customers.
So let me put it the other way around. Have we taken any price increase in the last 2 years?
No. Price has been the same.
So if price has been static, whatever ARPU decrease we would have seen would be a function of higher discounting.
Yeah, discounts. Yeah, again, it's vary from market to market. You are right.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Devang Bhatt from ICICI Direct. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for taking my question. I just wanted to know that, our strategy was to grow the paid subscribers and pricing would be more or less stable. This quarter on Q-on-Q basis, our paid subscribers are flat and pricing has increased. So has there been some change? And see, my second question is that, in given the lockdown and everything is announced, despite doing a double-digit billing growth, we are not able to grow our revenues in double digit. So will we be able to grow a double-digit revenue growth in FY22?
Yes. Okay. There are two questions. One is in terms of the ATV. See, ATV is a function of many things because look at your personalized services and include assisted and elite matrimony. We saw those business sort of some bit of bounce back happen in the business. So that also pushed our ARPU. Second thing that while we are looking at offering the right price, we continue to look at where to where you can get better ARPU also. So discounting is yes, wherever possible do the discount. At the same wherever possible try to get a better ARPU also. So for us, discounting is not the only strategy. I think it's a look at what price we can get customer to subscribe for it. So again, as I said, the first part of growth in the personal service also doing the ARPU. In terms of if you look at the matchmaking side, we'll definitely look at this year. Definitely look at the double-digit growth. We believe that because when Q1 the revenue side also will be double-digit growth. So because now that because last year is because of the wedding services, we almost had because of photograph business was there, and that was also pulling down our the year-on-year growth percentage. We look at all the wedding services, drop was almost year-on-year drop of almost like 80%. So that has kind of pulled down our year-on-year growth at the enterprise level. So matchmaking and enterprise put together, I think this year we moved a double-digit growth in the revenue side as well.
So we are expecting matchmaking services to be flat, more or less flat, and not matchmaking. Sorry, marriage services.
Yeah.
Marriage service. Yeah. And this matchmaking in double digit means in the high teens or mid teens. I mean, what should we expect in that?
No, we are double digit because I don't want to get too much. I know we can only see the immediate future. And wedding services flat for this quarter. So it's not that we are saying that whole year is going to be flat. So because currently it's under lockdown, we don't expect the situation to continue to remain as it is. We expect in the next 4-5 months things will improve better on even on wedding services. So yeah, in terms of matchmaking, how much a double-digit growth? I'm not in a position to say at this point of time. We can talk about Q1, which is the immediate vicinity, because the country going through unprecedented challenges. Nobody would have expected that COVID, the wave 2 will be so severe. In fact, they're all preparing for the better things, and suddenly things gone haywire. So I think we want to be cautious at this point of time. Let's see how the situation develops. Probably one quarter down the line, we'll be in better position to comment on that.
My question was on FY22, like
FY22
terms. No, on FY22 terms. I mean, I know in first quarter might be weak, but when we catch up in FY22, would we be able to, grow? Because even in the past 2-3 quarters, we have done, despite our billing growing double digit, we have only done single digit growth in matchmaking services.
No, actually, the thing about the matchmaking business, while the billing has been growing double digit, because of, particularly Q4, where the 5 crores pushed to this quarter, we definitely, Q1 also, we expect the billing and revenue growth in possibly around 20% or so. So for the year, definitely we expect, both the billing and revenue side will be a double-digit growth. What is a double-digit growth? I'm not in a position to comment at this point of time, because we'll see how the Q1 ends, because the situation also changing dynamically. So that's the reason I'm not in a position to comment on that. So when you talk about Q1, what you can see, because Q1 will be a good double-digit growth.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronak Vora from AUM Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So, on a matrix end, so earlier, what was our customer acquisition cost, say, 5 years back and currently?
See, the CAC is, because most of our customer acquisitions are direct, where you don't spend much money. So unlike other businesses where they completely depend on digital marketing to acquire customer, the brands are so strong. In fact, almost like majority of users have come directly into the portals or offerings. So that's why the most are spent on TV advertisements. Even for digital, most are spent on brand, behind our brands actually. So it's not like other business where it's where you have to depend on digital to acquire customers. Not good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vivekanand Subbaraman from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much for the follow-up opportunity. Could you give us some color on the active users on your platform? Has it grown at a similar pace as the transactions, or and can you also help us understand if the growth has been uniform across regions in the country, or has it been faster in any one or two markets?
Because the profile growth has been good, so we stopped publishing the actual data on profile. So we are not publishing information because of competitive reasons. And all I consider we had a good growth across India, not limited to any particular geography. So.
Right. Second question is on the revenue streams. So this offline versus online, and you also have certain premium offerings. So could you discuss about growth across the revenue line items?
Again, we're not doing the breakup. So again, we have probably would indicate last time that we had a impact on the premium businesses during the lockdown or during the COVID situation, Elite Matrimony, and I think we start off kind of bouncing back. So we said that's kind of getting back. And that's one of the reasons we also getting better in Q4. But our once again got a lockdown. So but we continue to do well on the premium business.
And sorry, if I understand correctly, in the premium segment, your competitors are not just the other two self-serve models, right? They are with boutiques, right? Can you also help us understand the competitive landscape there?
No, they also have similar offerings. They are also personal service business, and but when it comes to Elite Matrimony, well, yeah, even the Shaadi also that they have the equivalent rate. But again, we pioneered this category almost 2 years ago. We definitely have a good brand in Elite Matrimony and a good number of customers across India. Yeah, so Jeevansathi also has the personal services actually. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dipen Sheth from Crystal Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, and thanks for the opportunity, sir. I have a question which is more of a strategic nature. Okay, so are you slicing the data of users to see whether there are more users who are looking for their own marriage versus other people's marriage, and is there something to be read there? How do you see this? Do you see it at all? Actually?
Yeah, no, that's one of the data we see it, and so
where is it trending, and what do you read of it?
Yeah. The majority users are the individuals only. That has been a growing trend. Today, only around 15% of profiles are created by parents, and contrary to some people think that it's largely used by parents. But definitely, matchmaking parents also did get involved because marriage happened with the involvement of the parents also. But in terms of the people reaching up onto the platform, 70% of the users are individuals themselves. Around 15% of the profiles are created by parents. Balance 15% profiles talk about siblings and creating a profile. So that's why the mix has been. So it's largely driven by individuals seeking a life partner, and that has been a growing trend.
And your presentation has a data point from way back in 2016. I know these are rough throws rather than auditable data, but it mentions that arranged marriages in India are at 80%. But in 2021, is it like, has it fallen to 30% or something? That's what
No.
I'm sure it hasn't, but it's just a rhetorical way of asking you.
No. The individuals are creating a profile does not mean that people just they kind of without the parents' involvement they're getting married. Who is in the driver's seat today? The singles themselves are driver's seat. They are creating a profile. They are contacting the prospects. Once they like the prospects, then obviously parents will get involved in the entire matching. The Indian marriage, definitely parents will get involved. Whether you can call it arranged marriage or individual arranged marriage, that depends how people interpret. We call it
I don't want you to, sir, sorry to interrupt you. I don't want you to kind of find a logical link between my two questions. All I'm saying is, in India, if 80% people were going through arranged marriages in 2016, has this started trending up or down and down drastically? That is what would worry me in terms of longer-term prospects for your business.
No. That's what I'm telling. See, basically, the arranged marriage, the term, which is grossly misunderstood. I'm just trying to give a...
Yeah, so even if I'm signing up and looking for someone, I would still call that an arranged marriage. I'm okay with that definition.
Yeah, that's what I mean by arranged marriage, because the arranged marriage, based on a point of view, their understanding arranged marriage was, parents are choosing the boy or girl would get married to the boy, and that's arranged marriage. We call it arranged marriage or we call it collaborative marriage. Every stakeholder comes together, parents and self. It doesn't matter. Even the parents get a profile. It's happening with the constant involvement of the youngsters. It doesn't matter who is on driver's seat. The majority of the people who are looking for life partner individual themselves. Once they start is the prospect. Look, I got married to BharatMatrimony.com. I created a profile. I contacted my wife. But I also got my parents involved at the right stage. So I call it a collaborative marriage. I think the marriage in the form of India has evolved from what it was 20 years ago. Today I call it a collaborative matchmaking or participative matchmaking. So both the stakeholders happening with the involvement and the participation of both the stakeholders. Who in the initial driver's seat today? Largely singles. Once they like the process, parents get involved. They follow the process. What are the process to be followed? Visiting the other side, and understanding the bride or groom, and the marriage happens with the consent involvement of all the stakeholders. So in a way, it's also called as arranged marriage. Arranged by individuals themselves with the involvement of parents.
Thank you.
Hope I'm able to kind of.
Any plans of going beyond marriage in terms of verticals? So not even dating? I know that sounds less serious than marriage, but maybe there's a different brand that you can make there. You're sitting on 280 crores of cash. Any thoughts there?
No, I think the dating is a completely different category. In fact, we did have a dating offering, so we studied that market. Our view is that, the dating is more like seen as a casual relationship, and the age group is different. Getting a female into our portal was a challenge. The monetization has been a challenge. And people use it for different reasons. So unlike matrimony is a very clear audience, clear intention, and the people culturally aligned. So that way we don't expect the dating site is going to be a large offerings or large market. It's a limited offerings and it is for limited purpose. So we don't think dating will be a large category in our view. So we don't intend to get into that category. We continue to focus on matrimony.
Thank you, Mr. Sheth. May we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Taha Syamwala from Piper Serica Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Can you hello?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Hello?
You're audible, yeah.
Hello?
Yes, you're audible. Please go ahead.
What was the changes in ARPU for the quarter and the year?
See, the ARPU change for the quarter was, it's a 4,667 rupees, which is kind of a decline of 9.6% year on year. But compared to the previous quarter, it's up by 6.4%. For the whole year, the ARPU from 5,061, it dropped to 4,578.
Okay. Thank you. That was the only question.
No.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Keshav Lahoti from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello. Sir, I just want to understand one thing. How should the pricing will play out in FY22 this year? Although pricing have taken a hit, do you think it will stabilize or more downwards is possible?
So, pricing probably in the similar lines, or and the top quality maybe slightly get better also. So as I told you, we continue to look at the ways to drive conversion. At the same time, look at ways to increase our ARPU as well, wherever possible, without compromising our ability to convert those free members into paid members.
I want to understand, what gives you confidence, maybe pricing might improve from here, because the way the competition is shaping up, in no way it is getting down. In fact, it is getting more aggressive.
So basically, as I said, we continue to execute well and continue to innovate, continue to offer various services to our customers. So as you know, while it's difficult to comment on what competitors, whether how long they continue, I think we are focusing on our growth. We are focusing on our driving our EBITDA margin. We believe that we are on the right track. So,
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just a related question on marketing, sir. So, like getting into FY22, when things are relatively tougher for every industry. So, how have the marketing spend sort of panned out for us, and how do you see it for industry overall? Is industry trying to save on marketing in FY22, or what are other avenues where industries we are sort of looking to save costs in FY22?
No, I think we have done the FY21 was good in terms of able to drive efficiency, and I don't expect that the whole thing going to continue beyond this quarter. I think things will come back to better levels beyond the Q1 in terms of the country. So I don't really expect going to be any lockdown, that kind of situation. And if at all anything happens, we look at that point and we see that it's a temporary this quarter thing. And if it continues, probably look at what can be done to drive if at all any on the cost side. But in terms of marketing, we believe that we'll be operating at a similar level, what is level of Q4 possibly. That's the outlook we have currently. So I believe that's sort of maybe good enough. But again, it depends.
And just final question from my side. There was recently, it was covered in media that Paytm and several other organizations, Indian startups are coming together to form a local Play Store. Is there any update on that?
See, it's not the local Play Store, meaning there is a thing that is lobbying, because today Google controls the entire Play Store, in the sense that because majority of Indian users are Android users. The thing is that, the Google pricing policies are forcing that they have to use only the Google in-app building certain things. It's good to have some alternative or government offering some kind of the download platform, so that, people are not restricted by that, the internet companies in India are not restricted by Google being the only platform where customer can go and download. So there's been sort of some bit of lobbying or some bit of, or not more the lobbying, or communicate with government that, it's good to have always the Google having absolute control over things that, so feel that sometimes we are at that sort of mercy of Google in terms of many things. So we could have some kind of offerings or government stepping in so that, where they're able to maintain that neutrality or ensure that, the Google not abusing its monopoly to the advantage or whatever other reason.
Thanks, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thanks, Faizan. Thank you, Pratik, for hosting this call. And thank you all for joining this call. If you have any questions, you can write to us. Meanwhile, stay safe and healthy and take care. Thank you all.
Thank you all and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Antique Stock Broking Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.